Story time about how my sister sold my nudes. Yes, my own sister. So a little background information, I was in 12th grade and I was pretty popular. And my sister, on the other hand, she was in 9th grade. I'm not even saying this to boost my ego, but she was jealous of me and everybody could tell. Mainly because of the fact that she didn't have her high school glow up, she low-key still looked like a 6th grader. And there were very few guys who gave her attention, and some of the guys would even tell her that I was hotter than her. So that did not help the situation at all. Not like I even paid attention to any of these guys because I had a boyfriend. And my sister and I still shared a room even though our brothers got their own rooms. So she could literally go through my shit anytime she wanted. Well, since we shared a room and I'd never thought that she would sell my nudes, sometimes I would take these exposing pictures of myself while she was in the room. Well, she had this one friend named Jessica who also was weirdly obsessed with me. One night she was saying how funny it would be to sell someone's nudes, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my sister sold my nudes. So like I said, she had this one friend and the one night they were talking about how funny it would be to sell somebody's nudes. We all laughed about it, joked about it, and then the conversation was done and over with, and I thought it was one of those things that you talk about with your best friends, and then, it never actually happens. Nobody actually thinks about fucking doing it. And her friend slept over that night, and I go to school earlier than my sister because I have volunteer work to do in the morning, and I accidentally left my computer at home, which is connected to my phone. So I asked her if she could bring it to school that morning, and I guess that her and her friend went on there, saw my nudes on there, and sent them to themselves. And since my phone and computer are hooked up together, I saw that they sent them to themselves. So I am blowing up her phone, but by first period, I had people blowing up my phone telling me that they were about to buy my nudes. My sister literally made an ad and put it on Snapchat. So fast forward, my nudes get out, and then my boyfriend breaks up with me.
My husband's ex-girlfriend is dying. Her last wish is to be with my husband. As the title goes, my 30 female husband's ex-girlfriend 33 female was recently diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer, and her last wish is to be with my husband 35 male. My husband, let's call him Seb, and his ex Tanya became best friends after their breakup a couple of years ago due to her infidelity. They were together for 5 years. Needless to say, they remained in contact even before he met me. I would be lying if I said it never made me feel uncomfortable even once. It did, and it still does, because Tanya is still in love with my husband. She never denied it, and in fact would even call or message me when she couldn't get a hold of Seb. Aside from cancer, she also has some mental health issues, thus my husband would always tell me to be kind and patient. Seb is no longer in love with her, of course. She cheated, and Seb swore that he will never get back to her and that he only sees her as family. 2 weeks ago, my husband received a call from Tanya to tell him about the sad news. My husband cried with her and told her everything is going to be okay. They were on the phone the whole day. I forgot to mention that Seb and I moved to Australia a few months ago because of my job, and Tanya is in Canada. They mostly talk via long-distance calls or WhatsApp. They've been in contact almost every day since we left, which always bothers me, but what can I do? After that call, my husband told me everything. To be honest, I felt bad for her and I genuinely feel sad. I asked him what's going to happen now. Seb told me he's going back to Canada, which is a shock. Then he told me that her last wish was to be with him. I didn't see anything except, what about me? He said if I can't leave my job, then he's going to visit me whenever he gets the chance. I walked out without saying anything. Wait. This is your husband? And he's leaving you to go spend time with a dying woman? Wait, that doesn't make sense. I have been avoiding my husband since the phone call, and I've been ignoring him whenever he tries to bring up the conversation. Yesterday, I found out that he already bought a ticket and is flying back home in January. I feel like he's abandoning me, but at the same time, I feel that I'm selfish for hating both of them. I'm honestly thinking of getting a divorce because obviously he's choosing her over me, but at the same time, I thought of why my husband is so attached to her. Seb considered Tanya and her family like his own, as he doesn't have one. She's probably like a sister to him now. No, you don't sleep with your sister. Don't give me that bullshit. But Tanya doesn't feel the same. She's madly in love with my husband, and him granting her wish will surely make her think they still have a chance. My entire life, I've been putting others first. I've been very patient and understanding about their weird relationship. I feel sick, confused. I want to call her, yell at her for ruining my marriage, for trying to steal my husband from me, for using her sickness to get what she wants, for being a bitch. I'm so mad at both of them. What did I do to deserve this?
Am I the asshole for telling my husband's daughter to stop calling me mom? I met my husband 6 years ago, and we have been married for 2 years. He has a daughter from a previous marriage that didn't end well after his ex cheated on him. His daughter rarely ever sees her mom, and she constantly travels the world. She always would call me by my first name, but for the first time when we were sitting at the table for dinner, she called me mom, and it just didn't feel right. It made me feel uncomfortable. I told her that I'm sorry, but I'm not your mother. You can't call me that, sweetie. And she was shocked and started to tear up a bit. My husband and I were arguing all night, telling me that what I did was awful. He told me that she feels comfortable and close enough to call me mom. He doesn't want to see how I feel from my side. Her mother is still very much alive, and I don't want to disrespect her by taking her title as mom. Life was moving so smoothly until she had to call me mom. Am I the for uninviting my mother-in-law from Thanksgiving because she refuses to eat my cooking? This year, I am hosting Thanksgiving at my house, and I've been working all month on coming up with a menu and testing all my recipes. Well, today, my husband dropped the bombshell on me that my mother-in-law wants to bring her own dinner to eat when she comes over. He just made excuses saying I know how his mother is a grade A picky eater, and she won't like anything I have prepared. I thought that was ridiculous. I'm not making anything unfamiliar to her, and there will be plenty to choose from. He argued that her bringing her own dinner would be a good compromise, and I disagree. It will be hugely obvious that she's making a comment on my cooking, and it would be humiliating to have her there eating something completely different in front of everyone. I told him if she can't eat anything here, then she's welcome to stay home and eat whatever she wants. I got a call one morning from his manager informing me that my husband had been in a car accident and was in the hospital. I obviously freaked out. I booked a ticket just for myself because it would be almost impossible to travel with Max. Luckily, we live close to my brother and sister-in-law who have a daughter, Sarah. Sarah answered the door and said her parents were out. I explained the situation and asked if she'd watch Max for a couple of hours until my mom came. She showed some concern for my husband, and when I asked her again, she said something along the lines of, "Well, you'll pay me, right?" I stared at her for a moment, not really expecting that response, and then my friend, who didn't answer, called me back and said of course she'd watch Max. So I took Max and left without saying anything to my niece. To be clear, if I asked Sarah to babysit under normal circumstances, I would absolutely expect to pay her. It was unsettling that Sarah would bring up payment while, for all I knew, my husband was dying in a hospital on the other side of the country.
I'm an asshole for refusing to pay for my son's dental surgery. I'm divorced from my son's mom, and she took the easy way out on the financial arrangements. Basically, I got stuck paying for things that are certain, like our son's private school and extra activities, where she's responsible for their health insurance, medical bills, and their nanny. She doesn't pay much coverage, and our son doesn't need medical care very often. Until now. Our son has a tooth growing from the roof of his mouth, and it needs to be removed very quickly. It is not a simple procedure because he needs to be put under anesthesia, and we have to go to a pediatric oral surgeon. Eventually we found a very good oral surgeon, and it's going to come out to be about $3,000. It is that expensive because dental insurance doesn't cover much of it. Half of it had to be paid before the appointment and the other half on the day of. My ex asked me if I was going to go on half, and I said nope. The bill is your problem and not mine. This is what you wanted, remember? She said that she does not have that cash laying around. I told her I do not care, and she needs to figure it out. She ended up having to take out a loan, so am I the asshole?
I'm 19 years and my boyfriend is 30 years. We've been together for 7 months. My parents died when I was just a baby and I was raised by my grandmother. When I turned 17, I had just finished my SHS when my grandmom got very sick. So I had to start working multiple jobs to take care of my grandmom and myself. I was unable to continue my education because of this. And sometimes paying the rent, house bills, and the hospital bills was almost impossible till I met Thomas. I met Thomas in church. He has a very good job and he has already built 3 houses. When we started dating, I told him about my situation and he promised to help me out. And he has kept his promise so far. He gave me money every week to take care of the house and my grandmom. And because of his help, I'm only working 1 job now and I'm even taking some courses online. Now, Thomas proposed marriage a month ago, but I feel I'm too young to get married now. I love him, but I want to get to know him a little bit more before we settle down, since we've only been dating for 7 months. When I told him this, he got angry and his attitude towards me has changed. And for the past 2 weeks, he has stopped giving me the weekly money he used to. I feel like he's pressuring me into marrying him. I'm not ready to settle down yet, but I feel like I have no other option. Since he's now withdrawing his financial support, I feel like it's better to put up with him than for me to go back to living the way I used to. But I'm also scared marrying him is going to be a bigger problem in future. Should I marry him or should I just let him go? This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below.
Would I be the asshole for telling my mom to start letting my daughter call her mama? I'm 19 and I have a 7-month-old daughter. I'm currently living with my mother, who's 71, as I'm a full-time student and working part-time at a job. A couple months ago, my baby started to talk mama, dada, and everything else, and yaya, which is a word for grandma. Lately, my daughter's been calling my mom mama constantly, and my mom has been answering to it. And I know for a fact that she's saying it to my mom because she'll try to go towards her while she says it. I've tried to turn her blind eye, but honestly, it hurts me. I've told my child's father, and he says that I should correct my mom. Now, my mom has recently been saying something along the lines of, children call the person who takes care of them the most mom or mama. This was during a random conversation, but now that I've gone about 10 hours a day at school and work, my mom insisted in taking care of the baby, since she doesn't want her in daycare. This is my first kid, so I have no idea if this is a normal thing. And I'm also an only child, so I've never been around other kids. So I'm just wondering, would I be the asshole for telling my mom to stop it? Or at least trying to correct her? I know it's not as big as a deal to some people, but for me it really hurts because she is my only child.